he just has to accept that I actually consider him one of my best friends now.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it.
Welcome to the Midweek Motivation Podcast, where we bring practical help for your faith and life. Here's today's episode.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Midweek Motivation. We are following up a Sunday conversation where on Sundays we're talking about God is greater than the highs and lows. And this week, our conversation is right around failures or missteps or I don't know, whatever you might call it for yourself. And we've got our guests here, John and Steve.
Yeah.
And John shared his written testimony on Sunday. And John, thank you so much for sharing. It was
Absolutely
so very uplifting and vulnerable and all the things. And so I'm glad that we get to be here and dive a little bit deeper into your story. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Love being here.
Yeah. And Steve is John's sponsor, and he's here in support and also just to talk about what that side of things looks like. But John, can you share a little bit about your testimony and just where you were in that story and get our audience up to date on what we're talking about?
Yeah. It's, addiction is a problem for a lot of people. With me, it was really never drugs or gambling. It's always been alcohol, all the way back to high school. And I would go through those phases, quitting for like 3 months. It was 3.5 years ago. I quit for 90 days and then did not have a sponsor. I felt, you've gone 90 days. I think you've shown that you can handle this. And it started then it was 1 drink a week, 2 drinks a week. And then just back to alcohol full time.
Yeah.
And then I even think farther than back. My wife of 27 years, she knew I had a drinking problem as well. And she tried to be fair and say, I don't want you out drinking. I'll go and buy you tequila and I will serve it to you. You can have 1 a night, more than fair. And she actually hit it. And being the mature alcoholic I am, I remember tearing the house to pieces when she was gone and found it, drank half of it, and then filled it up with water. But what's amazing, when you go to AA and you share that kind of story, you're expecting everybody else to go, wow, that's weird. No, others are looking like, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But it was, when I really knew that, hey, either get realer with this situation, that's when, I said, we're going to do this the right way. You're not doing the tools. You never have. And I always had in my mind, it's a real difficult process. But it was that one Sunday, again, Pastor Gay was busy with some people. I just went to Melissa and just said, this is my situation. You know anyone that might be able to help me out? Now, call it a coincidence. That day was his first day in the prayer group.
It was.
Yeah.
And she said, let me introduce you, to Steve. I think he can relate.
Yeah.
And we met, clicked instantly. And when I told him my situation, the whole time he said, yeah, okay, I understand. I said, will you help me? And he said, yes, but, he was waiting for me to say something because a sponsor can tell you, are you ready to quit? Of course they're going to say yes. You just tell them what you want to hear.
Sure.
I believe I said before we started the conversation, I need to quit. I can't do this anymore.
That's correct.
And even though it's been celebrating 1 year sobriety, it's exciting. It doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, 4 years. In my situation and a lot of alcoholic situation, you have to just still follow the tools, but the tools aren't hard.
Yeah.
They really aren't. And a person, at least at this Christian congregation, doesn't have to feel embarrassed about saying, hey, I got an issue here.
Nope.
Wow.
Well,
that's a significant statement.
It
wow.
is.
Well,
that's
I think
awesome.
go back to the Apostle Paul. He was a big deal back then. But what did he say? Christ came in the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And he even humbled himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And realized that if someone of that power still humbles themselves, that's why I've always found that just to be an excellent passage.
Yeah. No kidding.
We're imperfect people. That's why we say no imperfect people allowed. Me and Steve have talked about this. That doesn't mean the next day go out and be mean to people. Hey, I'm just imperfect.
Right.
Don't think you are perfect. Don't think I've got this serious addiction, I can handle it, because you can't.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's insightful stuff.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
it is.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned, what was it, do you think that brought you to that point where you're like, okay, I need help? Like, was there anything significant that happened? Because it sounds like like it's been something that you've been wrestling with in your home even just for a long time. Yeah. Was there just a thing that...
Well, it was, I guess what it was, main thing was, and it wasn't just the thing, but there were like, I had missed church like 3 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. And that's because that Saturday, I wasn't at a bar, but I had snuck home drink and drank till like 1 a.m.
Okay.
I did it like 3 Saturdays in a row. I don't know why I wasn't depressed. It's just, well, I guess it goes back to the addiction. Mm-hmm. You know, and missed that as well. And, you know, and my wife, again, she's not a dumb person. She's a very smart person. She knew something wasn't right either.
Sure. Yeah.
But here's do away with all that negativity. Yes, it's in the past, but now, because it's been a year, if I'm going to see Steve, if I'm going to the store, she doesn't worry.
That's amazing.
Yes, that's correct.
At all. See? Because alcoholism is a very selfish disease. Yeah. And you don't, you know, and you hurt the people. You don't just hurt yourself. You really hurt the people you care about.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it is a big thing. I mean, if I, you know, did something overboard, got a Dewey or something like that, I'm out of a job. The type of job I do, you have to be licensed, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you get some kind of a major misdemeanor, you could be out of a job.
Yeah. Okay.
And those are factors too.
Yeah.
And health-wise, that feels good too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Wow. So all the benefits.
That's right.
Well, yeah.
That's right.
From just like having that realization. So it sounds like there were some flags and just some things in your life that you're like, hey, I don't like how this is playing out right now.
And that was it. And that's when I finally said, you got to come forward here. I was nervous to come forward because, you know, as a child, I was raised in a cult. Okay. And if you were messing up, you were scared to tell anybody because I guess, at least the experience I had is that, you know, when you're in a cult religion overall, everything is so tight. You associate with each other. Everyone else are bad people, you know, and if you told someone, next thing they told someone and then on and on and on.
Sure.
So, or are you going to be judged horribly? And then I said, you know, you're not with that anymore.
Yeah.
You're at Westside.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And it just all came together so well. Even, you know, Melissa, who I've always admired, just like Gabe, you know, when I told her, I'm looking straight ahead, and I kind of looked at the corner of my eye, and she's, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, she's not mad? You know?
Yeah. I love that. I have thoughts on that too.
You ever have those deeper questions and you just really want to go to work on it, but you don't know where to go? Maybe you're wondering, how did we get the Bible? Or you're wondering, I wish I could figure out how to be more intentional in my prayer life, you know, to really dig in. Or I want to know more about this or that, and I just don't know where to go. Well, we've got an option for you. It's called self-paced training. We've built a platform called Westside Plus, and we want you to take a look at it. It's a way to get deeper in your faith, to really grab those topics that are specifically designed to help you grow to another level in your faith and to go after it. And they're self-paced in the sense that you can take the course and you can stop and start and it'll remember where you're at and you can complete these things and you can go to the next level. And this is a way to keep growing in your faith. It's called Westside Plus. We want you to check it out at westsidecommunitychurch.com/Westside Plus, Plus, Westside Plus.
But first, before I jump into that, I'm curious, Steve, from your perspective, what was your first impressions when John reached out to you?
He was nervous. He was nervous.
I was?
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
No, he came up and he sat down and kind of head down a little bit and, well, you know, I got this kind of drinking problem. Like, really? I got you, brother. Really? You too? I'm like, of course I do. Yeah. He goes, oh, okay. And so suddenly the weight fell off, and then we started talking, and I think it was like almost all the way up to the next service. So I'm like, I got to play now.
Yeah.
And so then I think about a week went by, and then I said, hey man, I'm gonna go to CR on Thursday night. You wanna come with? And he goes, was it like AA? I'm like, well, yeah, just faith-based. He goes, oh, okay. So we went 2 weeks, and on that second week, that's when he asked me if I could be a sponsor. And I said, of course, I got you. And that's where the process started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For anybody listening or watching, CR is Celebrate Recovery,
yes. Yep.
Which we host here at Westside on Thursdays, if anybody is interested. But, that's awesome. Okay, well, so So when you're walking through that, you said yes. What led you to say yes to that opportunity?
First of all, I paused. Actually, I don't think I actually answered you right then. I think I answered you the next day. Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
That was what I was told to do, just to wait, sit on, think about it, pray about it. And then, because also as a sponsor, you're only supposed to really take on just a couple.
Yeah.
And I had one already, and in Kansas, and but he'd already gone through the steps. He was already 4 or 5 years sobriety, and so I said yes. And I said, okay, if you want me to be your sponsor, this is what I'm going to expect. And one of them was to go through the steps, the CR steps, the books 1 through 4, meetings. We met once a week, and then I made myself available to him. So as a sponsor, we were just talking about last night the difference between an accountability person and a sponsor. Accountability is like, hey man, I'm having a rough day. I was like, you text back, okay, well I'll pray. That's it. Being a sponsor, I'm getting a text message at 10 o'clock at night. I'm at a party right now. It's an open bar. I'm like, you want to talk?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's my role to him, is I'm there for him to walk through that journey with him.
Wow. That's a significant commitment too. So I know that you've got your story too. What is it that has led you to make yourself available in that way? You know what I mean?
To capsulize that, I mean, I just, headspace, drinking, suicidal ideation, an attempt, but I realized that I had to understand why I drank. So I went through therapy. I got the accountability. I got a sponsor, just no different than what I'm teaching him.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it gave me the ability to be able to relate with him. They always say, you drag the person behind you.
Yeah,
well, he's the person behind me, and then someday there'll be a person behind him, just like my sponsor did for me.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be able to give back, because my life was rough, and it's not now, praise God. And now I have the privilege and opportunity to help others people in victory.
That's awesome. Very cool.
I'd say, and I guess with me, because I'm 57 years old, I've never said 1 year sober. Now I can say it. But the previous times...
I want to pause on that for a second, because that's a significant achievement, really, not to interrupt your thought, but you hit 1 year sober, and you guys went and celebrated and shared with me the interaction that you had with the waitress,
the waitress.
At the table, which I think was really fun.
What?
You want to share it, or want me to share it?
Oh, the story?
Yeah, the story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I already shared it to her. You could share it too. I guess everybody.
So basically what had happened was I got there ahead of time. I got my water with lime and lemon, and then he showed up, and she goes, well, what do you want to drink?
Yeah.
And there was this brief awkward pause, and he goes, well, you can tell her. I'm like, he's celebrating 1 year sobriety. She's, oh my God, that's so awesome. And so we had this great dinner, and she's coming back, interacting with us.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of waiting for the bill. Like you said, we're like, well, no dessert. I'm going to sugar fast. And, we've already eaten all this food. Yeah, we were full. And then next we know, we get this monstrosity of a sundae. It was like bananas and strawberries and ice cream. But additionally, the waitress brought a congratulation card from all the waiters and waitresses, and they signed it congratulating him. And I was blown away for that, and I have to give them a shout out to Oswego Grill. They that was awesome. That was really, really cool.
What I see out of that is the fact that you're sharing your story with people on a wide scale, and how encouraging and amazing that can impact other people's story. You know what I mean? So I think that it's awesome that you're sharing it, but I didn't apologize for interrupting your thought.
No, it's a great story. Yeah. But I was going to say, see, the difference is with the 1 year sobriety, when I used to try it on my own in the past, God was never involved, ever.
Okay.
It was something like, I'll just find a sponsor, but And the thing is, one time I did have a sponsor. It was a nice gentleman, but I don't know what it was. We just had no rapport. I mean, I called him up one time and said, "Hey, I'm feeling a little funky." "Oh, okay. Well, if you feel worse, give me a call. Nice to talk to you again."
Ooh.
Okay,
Not
bye.
great support. Yeah. Okay.
Then they ended up moving away and all that. That's why I said, make it, whether you are eating or drinking, do it in the glory of God.
Yep.
And if you're trying to stop drinking, do it in the glory of God.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this time God was the center, because each one to their own, but the fact that it was his very first day in the prayer group,
Yeah.
I can't believe that was
No
coincidental.
coincidence. Yeah, it was no coincidence.
No.
there.
Somebody was involved, and I have a feeling I know who it was.
Yeah. So you say that you point to that. So what's the difference maker, do you think? Like when God is driving the process for you to get sober, I would imagine that God's grace is really heavily involved in that. What kind of a difference does that make? Do you think that, you know what I mean? Like, what's the difference maker in that between having God and not having him in the middle of it?
Well, it's, I'm not saying I can't do something on my own, but addiction is a very serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whether it's, we talk about a lot of stuff, whether it's, or even if someone is trying to, quit smoking. It's probably really tough. I've heard it is.
Yeah.
And people have tried to do it on their own, or gambling addictions. I mean, there's a lot of addictions out there.
Yeah.
And just the fact that, we put God in the middle of all this now, one of the best ways I've learned how to interact with different people and communicate was Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was God, but he was also down here as a human.
That's right.
And when I read the scriptures, that was the more I've been to see how he dealt with things.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I'd also say he was ready.
Yeah.
He was ready. I mean, I have a cousin that wasn't ready, and it ended up in a different path.
Yeah.
And tragically, he was ready, and as I'm experiencing that one, I'm also experiencing this one in the same week, and that's the difference in being ready and not ready. He was ready to do this. No matter yelling, screaming, anything is going to change somebody.
Yeah.
Intervention. When they're ready, then they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Until then, they're not going to.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. Those sheepishly coming up to the stage, he was ready.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned at the beginning of our conversation about sharing, the addiction with Steve, sharing it with Melissa, sharing with, and I have this thought just about this idea about confession and how freeing it can be. I think that the Bible talks about confession all the time, and sometimes it can be a bad word to us in our culture, like, oh, I gotta confess. But did you find freedom in confession? Did you find like a weight lifted when you shared that stuff with Steve and with Melissa and with God? And then
I felt like I just got paroled. Yeah. I mean, it was, it's amazing thing with us as humans, when something's really bugging you and you actually share it with someone and they react in a mature, Christ-like way.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, very cool.
And what I appreciated too about Steve, and it goes back to kind of when I was talking about my wife. We tried to make a deal. If I'm feeling funky, I'll call you. I never called her.
Sure.
More than once I turned the phone off, and I know she was trying to call.
Yeah.
But there were times I felt funky. I had nightmares about drinking, and you were in the nightmares.
Yeah.
Just in the fact that it was, and I'd wake up, everything's okay, and I'd send him a note. I'm feeling a little weird. Hey, you want to talk? Yeah, can we chat for a few minutes?
Awesome.
And I told him
huge.
that was normal. Just pause. It's a normal thing. Your body's going through dreams, thinking that you're actually drinking. You wake up in your dream, you're drunk, but you're actually sober, awake. And I told him that's very normal.
Wow. So there's something real significant to being able to partner with somebody who's experienced it
It's
for you.
Yeah.
And too, I hope the best always for everybody. But I've just kind of learned, when you get a sponsor, which I believe in, really make sure there's a click there. There's
That's
rapport.
the right thing. Yeah. Right
Because
connection.
he just has to accept that I actually consider him one of my best friends now.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it.
I was waiting for that.
I love it. Awesome.
Will we edit that part out? No.
Nope. Well, so what I feel like you kind of shared this, so I don't want to reiterate, but just ask for for your thoughts on what's the most meaningful part of this past year of sobriety been for you.
Health-wise, attitude-wise, and my wife. You know, I got a great lady. That's why I've been with her for 27 years. No more lying to her.
That's right.
And I mean, she is. She's not so much into the church thing. It doesn't mean she has a problem with God or something. But I mean, she's never met Steve, but she likes everything about you because she knows you have helped me, and she appreciates it about Westside and all that because it really worked.
Yeah.
And I tell you, if someone with the addictive personality, you can do it. But one thing I have noticed, this is just my personal opinion, that one website for alcoholics, I see some people and I feel for them because I can relate. Well, darn, I made it 17 days and I drank a bottle of wine. But they just leave it at that. Other people are coming on saying, hey, I wish you the best. But me personally, that's not enough. You've got to have the human interaction.
That's right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Somewhere where you can actually make a phone call and depend on the person that's going to pick up on the other end of the line. That's cool. Very cool. All right. Well, so Steve, for you, a question, like what has been the most surprising or rewarding part of mentoring someone in recovery been for you?
On a personal journey, I believe wholeheartedly that I could help somebody else, just not me. We're not perfect. In this process for the last couple of years, I now understood that I'm allowed to be able to have miracles too. And so this particular round with John, it was actually a joy to be able to walk alongside with him, to be able to share this journey with him, his ups and downs, and, you know, and kind of this really proud moment. And, you know, I had composed this text message to him, you know, on the day of, and I sent it to him. He goes, "It's Friday." I'm like, "No, John, it's today." He goes,
Happy one year.
"Oh my gosh, that's right."
That's awesome.
and it was just, you know, and I kind of reiterated, you know, here was this man that was scared and unsure, and can I do this? And then yet here you are. And it's an incredible journey to be on with another person. And there's times that I've been with people that didn't go that far because that's choice.
Yeah.
But he didn't, and he's sitting here right now, and I'm super proud of him.
Very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is it? So for someone who's walking along someone else and wanting to be that encouragement and stuff, what is it? How do you handle those moments when it gets messy? You've kind of alluded to that a little bit, but
I slow down. If you're asking how I respond to people that ask me that, sometimes I'll wait, and I just kind of sit and I think, or I pray. I kind of evaluate the text. Now, if he's saying he's having a rough time, I'll reply back right away. Hey, you need to talk.
Yeah.
But if we talk on the phone, if it's one of those moments, I'll just listen, and I'm just praying, like, what do I need to say into this? And invariably, it's always going to be, you know, something that's going to be edifying for him, something that's going to push him. You know, I'm going to acknowledge, you know, where he's at, but at the end of the day, we got a goal. Let's keep going to that goal, and I'm going to remind him of that goal because this is what you wanted.
Yeah. And in those moments when things aren't going exactly the way, I think the end goal that I'm shooting for, the main question I'm asking is sometimes it's hard to keep showing up when things get messy. What encouragement would you have for somebody who is trying to support someone?
This is a tongue-in-cheek joke, but I always tell people, I said, I didn't wake up one morning going, gosh, I feel like having a gallon of vodka today.
Yeah.
There's always a why.
Yeah.
Find out your why. Find out your why. Why are you drinking? Why are you doing drugs? Why are you doing the sex? Why are you doing, smoking? Why are you doing all this stuff? There's a reason why you're doing it. And so that's what I keep pushing on him. Find your why.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned in my own personal journey. So whenever I am in that moment, when I can feel them just kind of waning a little bit, I'm like, remember the why. Remember why you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's your wife, it's, your health, it's all these things. These are the reminders. This is what you're going for.
Yeah. Awesome.
I did want to share one thing, though. You had mentioned it was a company party in downtown Hillsboro. And I mean, I walked in there and they said, here's a chip for a free drink. And I, oh, great, now it's free. And I had just sent him a text, said nothing weird has happened, but I just want to send this to you. He said, okay, well, give me a call if you're feeling funky. I used the chip for Diet Coke, so that was fun. But here's the part that was, God really is everywhere. They had a musical band that night. And I'm like, I'm around the corner. Is that Bart?
No way.
I'm around the corner. There's Bart and his weird hair and weird glasses. He's weird, but I don't care. I love him being weird, of course.
Wow.
And Bart's there. And after it was over, I said, Bart, John, he's, Bart, he's full of so much life.
Yeah.
He goes, are you taking pictures? And I said, yeah. Oh, come on, guys, the band. Let's take a picture with John.
That's awesome.
I still got that picture, but the fact that it was Bart there, and I was like, well, now I feel even more relaxed. Okay.
Yeah. So you took the opportunity to hold yourself accountable by reaching out to your accountability partner. And then God maybe blessed you by saying, here's a little bit more accountability for you, or a little bit more of a reminder.
And Bart, I told Bart, because he's just... because I happen to like him a lot.
Yeah.
I just said, I haven't had a drink tonight. And he goes, oh, well, that's good. You okay? And I said, yeah. I said, I'm just telling this because I know you.
Yeah.
And we know each other at Westside.
That's awesome.
It's just the more I tell the right people, the more the temptation wasn't there. And, it went away quick. That's the thing about addiction. The one time I was so close, I was in Vancouver. This is 90 Days Sobriety.
Yep, 90 days.
And I went in there, and they had a bottle of tequila. I mean, like that.
Yeah.
And they went into the bathroom, and I almost thought of sneaking it and drinking it. And I just sent him a little note real quick, said, I'm really feeling weird here. Here's what's going on. He said, well, you want to talk? I said, well, I'm at a friend's house, but I haven't drank anything. He said, okay, well, you call me immediately if you need to. That urge went away in 5 minutes.
Because he gave away the power.
What he said.
Yeah.
The power went away because he held himself accountable. The power goes away.
That's incredible. Awesome. Well, so I feel like both of you maybe have touched on this a little bit too. So, but I'm going to ask anyway. How has your view of God changed you through this process of getting sober and of, being a accountability partner or sponsor? That's the word.
Yeah.
It's just, realizing that, our one true God, ask him for help on anything. It's okay. You don't have to feel embarrassed, ashamed.
Yeah.
And I really feel when you do that God will direct you to the right sources.
Yeah.
He did with me.
Yeah.
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 That reminds me of that scripture that talks about, and I don't know the address of it, but it talks about God will always leave you a door or a way out of your temptation.
Yeah.
He's always going to give you an escape route, essentially, is how I read it.
And you have free will.
Yeah.
But it's and again, it's not just to go out there and deliberately do bad things, but to realize don't act perfect. I think Gabe rehashed on that about Peter.
On Sunday. Oof.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Oof.
Yep.
I have not read that passage a whole lot because it's just tears your heart to pieces.
Yeah.
But but he restored Peter.
Exactly.
Right.
But I think Peter made the mistake, and maybe this is a good lesson that's saying it absolutely will not happen. Yeah. I absolutely will not drink again. Don't worry, God. I got it.
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't you read what happened to Peter?
Yeah.
That's right.
He didn't have it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'd say Gabe did a series on miracles. And it's something that I have been wrestling with for a while, miracles. So what I got to witness was a miracle. Not only in my life, like I had prefaced earlier, but I got to watch a miracle in another man that truly wanted to seek God and be able to want to get healed and he got the help that he needed. I just got to go along for the ride. It was awesome. But I got to witness a miracle. And inside of that, miracles were happening inside of me at the same time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But even about the public in general, church is great, but I was, when I got my 90-day chip, I was in a Minute Mart and I had the chip on my key ring. Some guy, I didn't know who he was. He just, hey, you're 90 days sober? Yeah. God, I'm just 4 days down. Yeah, congratulations. Next thing we're talking and everything.
Wow.
I just love that.
Community.
Yeah, no kidding. And encouraging other people. That's awesome. Well, so then my last question for you really is, what would you say to someone who's listening, who feels alone and feels ashamed and is like stuck in their failure or whatever it is that they might be feeling in the moment.
What I say is, don't be ashamed. You have nothing to be embarrassed about, but you got to be willing to make the decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to quit. It's not a counselor. It's not a pastor. It's not maybe one of your best friends. You have to make the decision.
Right.
If you don't make the decision, from experience of 57 years living, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you make the decision, and let's say anyone out there goes a year sobriety or anything like that, just keep doing the tools.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to do them forever, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And they're not difficult, and there are a lot of people out there who do care.
Yeah.
Boy, did I experience that, and it's awesome. Yes.
Right on. If you're at the foundation of, do I do this? Do I not do this? That's exactly where the devil wants you to be. He wants to keep you alone.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to be willing to be sheepish and nervous and say, I got a little bit of a problem. And it's like, okay, let's do this, because suddenly you have community. But you have to be willing to get out of your own head.
Yeah. Yeah. Link arms with some people.
That's right.
Support you.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time and vulnerability and your willingness. Congratulations,
You are so
John.
welcome.
That's so cool. We're cheering you on for sure. I'm
Yeah.
praying for you, and I'm so glad that you've got your community. I'm a huge proponent of that. So,
Right. And I will be your best friend.
oh, the decision's been made. That's awesome.
Actually, I hope they edit that part out.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for being here. And
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was great. And I
Good.
wish anyone who's listening, I wish everyone the best. That's what life's all about. It's short. So be the best, because you are the best. My dad
Yeah.
told
Right.
me that.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Check out the message if you missed it on Sunday, where John shares his written testimony, and you can just be encouraged by that. We'll catch you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Midweek Motivation. To make sure you don't miss any content in the future, please subscribe, share, and if you enjoyed this, give us a like, and consider popping by a Westside service some weekend. You can find out more at westsidecommunitychurch.com.